So we're going to do some standing poses now. We're going to start in mountain pose. So it's just exactly like this, standing up basically. Feet comfortable distance apart and engaging with our feet. So pushing through the contacts we have through the base of our big toe, spreading across the balls of our feet. You might want to lift and spread your toes, letting the arch in your foot be dynamic, bringing our toes back into contact with the earth and dropping down into our heels. So really kind of gorgeously spread out, happy feet on the floor. And the floor welcomes our happy feet. So we're going to start with some simple hip circles. So in tune with your own breath, so bringing the breath into the heart space. If you want to do the hand moves, you're always welcome, and you might also want to have your hands on your hips for this. You're going to start imagining from the very center of your pelvis. So imagine where the front of your pelvic bone is. Bring your attention there. Then bring your attention to the back of your sacrum. And now let it find the middle point between those two spaces. We're going to start from that point to draw circles into the space. Keeping in connection with your breath. You might want to do it so it's one entire full breath in as the front circle, front half, and the back half is the out breath, but you might want to do it at other speeds. And you can experiment with making the tiniest circles you can make. And you can experiment with making the biggest circles you can make, so massive circles. And you can bend your knees. You might want to bring your feet a bit wider apart. And then you repeat this on the other side. Holly, is it okay if you don't repeat it on the other side right now? Or do you need to do it on both sides?
I already did.
Oh, great.
Sorry.
So now we're going to draw a figure of 8. So from that same place, deep inside us, doing kind of figure of 8s with our hips. Yeah, making them really big and juicy if you want, and keeping it nice and soft and subtle if you want. Really lovely moves to do throughout early labour, all the way to the first stage of labour. And you do it on the other side, and then we're gonna do kind of hip smiles, so allowing one side of our hip to come up and then the other. So just imagine you're a gorgeous belly dancer. Belly dancing was originally actually developed for women's health. It was a women's dance that women did just in the company of women, and it kept them really healthy with all their energy and vitality flowing. So you can bring one foot up, the heel lifting as you come over to that hip, feeling if anything is happening in your pelvic floor as you do this. Gorgeous. So now we're going to do what we call the Rising Snake series, which is the one with the tail. So, Holly, do you mind actually turning to the side so you're facing over there? Yeah, I think that might allow us to see. So to start with, you might want to have your hands on your hips, or one hand on the front of your pelvis and one hand on the back. And we're going to breathe into our heart space and just connecting with the breath, breathing down into the womb. And taking a few breaths to do this. Now we're going to bring into our mind's eye the idea that we have a gorgeous bushy tail, maybe a squirrel's tail. You know how a squirrel's tail comes all the way back and up. And as we take a deep breath in, we're going to breathe into the chest and lift our squirrel's tail right up and back into the air behind us, so the pelvis tilts back and the legs straighten. And as we breathe out, we're going to contract our buttock muscles and bring our tail all the way through our legs, bending our knees and allowing it to come forward. And then at the top there's a lift, so you're actually making a circle. So Holly, if you just do the whole movement a few times round, so we watch As you breathe in your own breath, you're going to, come down. And then at the back it lifts. So Holly's making these gorgeous circles, and just keep going. So squeezing the buttock muscles as you come forward, and breathing deeply into the heart space as you come back. And then you can, when you've got the move, just let your hands be wherever they feel happy. And Holly, if you don't mind standing to the front again, Holly's going to show us how you can combine this with a hand mudra yoga as well. And the most important thing here is that you're doing it in your own breath, with the rhythm of yourself, connecting with your heart, your womb, the feet on the ground beneath you, your baby. So we're going to experiment with the classic tree yoga pose, but we're just going to keep it simple and it's kind of a small rotation out to the side. If you feel like you want to do more, feel free. So again, connecting with the floor. Really lovely image you can use of maybe imagining your feet are like chocolate or butter on a warm plate, just gently melting into the earth. And maybe actually, to mix my metaphors, they're going to grow roots. And the roots that your feet are growing are as deep into the earth as you are tall. So breathing into your heart space. As you breathe down, you can actually breathe not even just to the womb, but all the way down, so your breath travels all the way along your roots into the very center of the earth. And as you breathe up, you can breathe the energy from the earth back into your baby and your heart space. We're going to shift our weight onto one foot. And with a sense of opening in our hip, we're going to bring the other foot to rest on the standing leg. And you can keep it really low. You can even just have your heel on your leg with your toes on the floor. Wherever feels good. And you can bring your hands onto your hips. It's quite a nice stabilizing position. You might like to find a still spot opposite you and focus on it, but maybe not. Closing your eyes is good too. The idea being really of openness, juiciness in your hip. That's where the move comes from. And from this space, you can re-engage with what we were just doing with our Rising Snake series. So you can actually do the whole pelvic tilting tail movements like this. I don't know if you want to show us, Holly. So you'll be bending your standing leg and straightening it as you tilt your pelvis. Breathing into your heart as you go back. Coming forward, straightening the leg. If you want to do the full tree, you can raise your branches up to the sky with a lovely in-breath. And again, like this, you can still be doing the pelvis. Moving the pelvis and enjoying that sense. It's like you're a tree in the wind, letting yourself just undulate with the wind as the wind moves you. And then you would repeat on the other side. So we're going to do a few open leg moves. So we're just going to bring one foot in front of the other, whatever, to a comfortable distance. With the back foot slightly turned outwards, as Holly's showing us. And we're going to use our feet, so the contact with the feet in the earth, to experiment with bending the front knee, coming back. But actually, we're not really thinking about our knees. We're actually thinking about our contact with the ground. So if we press our back foot back, what does that do? Does our front knee bend? What happens? And as we press our front foot really deeply, firmly into the earth, what movement does that initiate in your body? So you might find yourself gently undulating from kind of bending the front knee, then coming back with a straight knee, just working your feet. That contact with the feet, the wings of the womb. And then the next time we come forward, we're going to breathe in and bring our arms wide and out to the side. So just, breathing in here and then taking them all the way up. So just as we did with our branches, letting the tops of the shoulder blades slide down the tops of the back. Enjoying the contact with the feet, really working both our feet into the earth and equalizing the sense of contact with the earth through both feet. And here you can add in the pelvic moves. Yeah, so juicy, juicy, juicy pelvises. You might want to bend your knee more or less. And then on an out breath, returning our arms. Maybe putting our hands on our hips as we gently bring our, whichever feels better, probably your back leg forward, but you might do it in little stages if you need to. So we come back together, and then you would repeat on the other side. But Holly, do you want to show us on the other side? Because poor Holly will otherwise feel in a really asymmetrical way the whole day. So engaging with the feet, exploring what happens when we use our feet to stretch and bend our legs. You can, And then when you're wanting to, what did we do? We brought our hands up and open, breathing into the heart space, down into the earth, and then breathing up and allowing our arms to rise. So our hands are actually facing each other. Our shoulders are sliding down the tops of our back, and we're equalizing the contact between our feet, our front and back foot, and the earth.